Hey guys, welcome back to the greenhouse. I don't know if anybody's actually there yet. I thought I'd start this like a few minutes early and adjust my mic and everything like that. And yeah, today I'm just hanging out in the greenhouse, and we tried it yesterday and it went really well. So I've tried live events in the past through Facebook or through YouTube Live and stuff like that, and it was always like, it always had lots of issues. So yesterday I tried the Pages live thing. I hit the button and did a live broadcast, and it worked pretty good. And I was able to get it to YouTube and everything like that. I don't like how the frame is square, but I guess that's meant for Facebook and not for YouTube, which is why it is what it is. So I thought I would get everything organized today. Good morning, Matthew. Watching you lemon bars for dessert contest. Nice. I've adjusted my screen so I can read it a little bit better because this is on my phone. So yesterday I had the camera a little bit different and the setup a little bit different, so it's hard to read comments. But yeah, once we gain a little bit, I think I started this a few minutes early. I have no idea what time it actually is, but I wanted to do a little bit of show and tell and questions and answers, and just kind of show you a few cool things. We did a repotting video yesterday on Phalaenopsis. It went pretty well. It sort of is what it is, and it was an interesting one because the roots were all like around the edge of the pot, and it was just a really good example of how to repot it, I guess. But yeah, so today I have an orchid down here, I have an ant plant down here, I have a couple nepenthes down here, and I wanted to show you guys how I do on my hanging pots. Everything above me that is hanging it's so convenient for space and everything like that. It frees up so many shelves, and I just wanted to give you a quick sort of demonstration of how that is done. I did do a video on that topic, but it's been like a year or two, and it was like a couple hundred videos ago, so it kind of gets lost in the YouTube mix. So I wanted to show you guys that. And yeah, other than that, you know, if you are joining me, make sure you say hello on the screen there so I know you're watching, and we'll sort of slowly get started. Just like yesterday, this thing sort of ramps up with viewers as it goes along, I think. And so I really don't have a plan other than questions and answers and show and tell. There's no repotting today, unfortunately. But why don't we get started with this cool guy here. I pulled this down. This is my Myrmecodia, I think it's pronounced. Armata. It's one of my bigger ant plants. It's doing really well. I pulled it down and I noticed it was pretty dry today. But it does actually have ants living in there, and when I shake it enough, or the vibration, I guess, it brings the ants out. I don't know that we're going to be able to see it on camera today, being I'm not holding the camera. I can't like zoom and focus or anything like that. It does have flowers. A little tiny, teeny tiny little flowers on it. They're supposed to be self-pollinating and then produce like a berry fruit after, but this guy, although he flowers all the time, he's never produced any fruit. I grew them on the cold side of the greenhouse for about a year, along with my other ant plants, and they did okay, and then I moved it over to the other side. So right now you're sort of in the doorway of the warm side of the greenhouse, and I'm standing in the cold side of the greenhouse, and basically there's partition walls that are clear with plants hanging on either side. So this guy, I moved him to the warm side of the greenhouse late winter, early spring, and this one and all the others just really exploded in growth. So they definitely don't like it highland conditions like I was hoping they would. They like it more intermediate to warm. But yeah, not the most impressive flower, but just a cool plant. It's really sharp. These spines, which in the right conditions, the odd one like actually turns into a root and starts to grow. But they are quite sharp, and yeah, it gets a neat little feature is the leaves sort of get mottled with what looks like scale, which is like the bane of any orchid grower's existence, but it's actually like a fake scale. It's to attract ants, because ants harvest the scale for the nectar they produce, and so it's to bring ants a little closer to the plant. And yeah, that was the ant plant. So what else can I show you on this table right now? We did a video on my Millennium Witchcraft orchid last week, and sadly right after the video it basically the flowers just started wilting. I think I caught it at the end even for the video, and Speak of the devil, you just saw my video with the pinguicula. That is funny. So, yeah, I thought today we would chop this guy off because this spike is fading fast, but it's good because now the leaves are going to drop on this thing, and it's going to just become like, I always call it like eggs in a basket, the way they look, and it'd be much easier to deal with for the winter. From now, I'll cut it off, and then this is going to go just on the bottom shelf of the greenhouse, tucked away until spring when the new growth starts. So I'll pull up the tag here. One of my favorite orchids, and yeah, I've had it for 3 or 4 years now anyways, I think, and biggest bulb yet for sure. So what I'm going to do is quickly sterilize my scissors. I always recycle bottles here, so this used to be insecticidal soap. Now it is my own mixture, 50% water, 50% rubbing alcohol, and a tablespoon of Dawn dish soap. And I give these guys, the scissors, a good sterilization. I'm just spraying them off camera and letting them drip. I always do that before I cut any kind of orchids or anything like that. And between the soap and the alcohol, I just leave it for a few minutes, and then the scissors are sterile. And then I'm just going to cut this off. So I want to leave at least one little node here, so if some kind of bacterial infection does get in, it's got a node before it like hits the main plant. So we'll chop that off, leave it on the floor, and I have started doing this with cinnamon to pretty much everything, just because why not? Cinnamon is a natural, it has antibacterial properties, so I take my pinch of cinnamon and I literally cram it and push it right into the cut, and that just helps it stay clean. So hopefully nothing will get in there and it will stay nice and healthy for me. So I'll close up the cinnamon. Good thing about this is it's safe, it's non-toxic, and my greenhouse smells like cinnamon for a day or so after I end up using it. Now, what else can I show you? This was only supposed to be like a 15-minute sort of live thing. I tried to announce it ahead of time, so if you're just sort of joining me, I just talked about my ant plant a little bit here and its sort of temperature conditions, and we just cut the spike off my witchcraft orchid. This guy here is kind of cool. I brought it down to show you. It's one of my favorite Dracula orchids. One of my favorite and one of my first. So it's doing quite nicely right here, and I love the little monkey face on there. I don't know if you can, how good you're able to see that, how good it'll focus, but pretty cool. Definitely definitely a little bit, it's big and it's different to grow. All the spikes come out the bottom. Show some orchids and your catasetum. I just showed like a catasetum type orchid. I cut the spike off of it. Did you see that? It's still right here. I only have one real catasetum, but it's buried behind you, so I can't get to it. And it's not in spike. But yeah, Dracula orchids, they were one of my first passions. I have a whole bunch of them, and they're sort of hanging up and all around us as well. But yeah, they're interesting. I use the tape around the net pot. It looks like crap, but what it does is it shows me how moist it is in there and kind of conserves a little bit of moisture. So these, I find, dry out really fast. Even though the greenhouse is humid, I can't get to watering them as fast as I can, or as fast as they should be. This one's pretty dry. But what this tells me is there's still moisture in there because the tape is opaque. It's not clear. As the, I'll show you, I'll turn it around. As it dries more and more, the tape gets clear again. So it's sort of like a little warning system. And I can control how much moisture. If it was staying soggy all the time, I could just simply remove the tape and everything would be all good again. But yeah, that is called a polyphemus or polyphymus Dracula orchid. They like it cool growing, nice and moist. But what I wanted to actually demonstrate today was how I make all these hanging baskets. So you can see this is a nice Vogellii nepenthes here, sort of a medium size. Their pictures with age look completely different than this, but it's coming along nicely. And yeah, it's getting there. It's got a nice size picture to it. I'm expecting good things from this plant in the next year or so. But I hang it, and when they get to this size, I like to hang most of my plants. All of my hanging baskets I do myself, and I can do them quite quickly. When plants are really tiny, I kind of keep them in the nursery trays like you see around the greenhouse, but as I get a bit more size to them, I like the versatility of being able to hang them, and they get different light. They're not under lights anymore, but even in the winter, when I look up, it's quite bright up there, so everything is good with them. I don't know if you've seen this little tool that I have. It's obviously not an original design, but I did make it myself. So out of a sturdy piece of wire, and yeah, I just wrapped it around a piece of bamboo, and from that, because my greenhouse the roof is up to 9.5 feet tall, so I can't reach it. It's kind of it's not all 9.5 feet tall, but in some spots it is. But with this thing, I can take this and then hook it back up quite easily without always having to get a ladder. It's kind of like in a women's clothing store where they can like take the clothes off the top rack, right? I don't know if that's where I got the idea from, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. So what we're going to do today, though, was work on this little Vogelii here. And this one it's getting ready to come out of the sort of nursery. As I said, when they're small, they fit nicely in my little trays, but when... How's your custom Vogelii doing? It's so weird watching you live. Catasetum. Do I have that Catasetum? I don't think I do. I don't think I have that one. But when they get to this size and they start drooping over all the other plants, it's time to move them somewhere else. So the first thing I do, and I did this yesterday as well if you watched that live video, my little tweezers I use for everything, so I don't know if it's going to focus on them, but they are bloody sharp. I would hate to like fall on these things. And so anyways, when I put them together, they form a very, very sharp point, and I can pierce the corners of the pot. And with square pots, I like to pierce the actual corners. I don't go into the middle with it. Here, I'll do one real close. I love the moss on the pots. It makes it look so natural. So I'm just like piercing right through there. The moss kind of popped up a bit. And the last one here. So that's how I prep the pot. It now has 4 holes in 4 corners. And you can do this for orchids as well. If your orchid growing space is small, think about what you can do with hanging them. Because I have hanging walls in here. The Dracula orchids are all hanging up, and I did it the same sort of way. It doesn't have to be a square pot. For when they're not hanging, square pots are so much more space efficient than round pots. Then I take my wire from the dollar store, and I buy 3 rolls of this for $1. It's like the cheapest stuff. And this is going to be the length of the actual hanging piece itself. So I want it to be quite long. Have to take into account you're going to be bending it to hook it around the pot. So we're going to go with one length here. How do I keep the moss from turning dark and slimy green, Linda? I don't know. It doesn't go dark and slimy green. Sometimes dead moss will go dark and slimy green if there's lots of nutrients in it. But when there's no nutrients in it, it shouldn't go green at all. I would start, if your moss is going dark and slimy green, I would probably flush the pot. Is it an orchid or is it a Nepenthes, Linda? I'll wait for Linda's comment there. So anyways, we need 4 lengths like this, but we want them to be all exactly the same. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it down, and now we have 2 lengths exactly the same. I'm going to bend it here to mark it, and then I'm going to straighten the thing back up again. Now, if it doesn't, if we can unwind it properly, I have it kinked, so I know exactly what my middle mark is going to be for this wire. And there we go. So I got my first kink for my main wire, right? And then I doubled that. Now we're going to go down here. So I have a nice piece like this. And we're going to cut that off. Then we're going to fold it back up like this. So we're keeping the wire all exactly the same, right? So you fold it like that. Then I twist the ends so all 4 pieces go together real quickly. Now I have it like this. 2 pieces are separate, right? We have both ends that are separate. And then we have a loop still. So I then cut the loop. And now we have 4 pieces of wire exactly the same length, or they will be. It's important to do this piece first, because if you get the 4 pieces and then you're trying to do this at the end, the pieces shorten on each other. If it was a Dracula orchid, Linda, I would make sure your nutrients in the pot are lower than they are if it's going slimy, and allow it to dry out a little bit too. Just because the outside is dry doesn't mean the inside is going to be dry. Like I said, I don't know if you seen the Dracula orchid that I have here. If you joined me from the beginning, this Dracula orchid here is quite dry. I'm not saying that you want these Draculas to be always dry, but it doesn't hurt once in a while. I brought this down from the roof and I'm like, oh, it needs some water. So I would flush the pot, reduce nutrients, and let it dry out a little bit more. And next comment, I have a lot of sphagnum moss growing in the bag. What should I do with it? Because I have no idea. I still don't have a cultivator called Pink Dove either. But it says to Seymour, your comment's too big. I can't, maybe I can touch the screen. And Seymour, the spike is cascading as well. I remember you mentioning it. I don't know if I have that one. It just isn't ringing a bell. You're welcome, Linda. Yeah, I don't know if I have that one. I really don't. But live moss in a bag, I mean, it's a good way to grow it at first. I grew some live moss in a bag. Now I have tons of it growing everywhere. And it's sort of one of those things that's like interest in a bank account. Once you have like enough money in there, you can just like live off the interest. The sphagnum moss is growing so nicely in here now. It grows so fast it like covers my Nepenthes pictures. I'm sure I'm watching it on a weekly basis, and it just kind of like covers up the pictures. So anyways, we're at this point in hanging our pot, and hey Cody, so now we're going to do a final bend here. So we have 4 hooks. This is the key. So now we have four pieces exactly the same. Even if these little tiny ends aren't exactly the same, the rest will be. So it's a long drawn out process when it's live, because I'm talking and answering questions in between. So what we did there, hopefully you guys seen that from the beginning, we made a little hanging thing for this pot here. Now the tricky part is going to be hanging it. Well, usually I would sit it on the table to do this, but we're going to put that through there, and there's one done. And then put the next one through. You can see where this is heading. And there's the next one done. And we kind of want to keep them in order here, so that one's actually over here. And yeah, so now this Vogeli is going to leave the nursery, and he's going to hang on my roof for a couple of years until he's big enough. And then they go back down. Once my Nepenthes get big enough, I don't like them necessarily hanging anymore. Then they go like onto the shelf again or onto the ground and start to grow up from there. And there we go. So now we have this guy hanging. And when I'm not doing a live broadcast, it literally takes 30 seconds for me to decide I want to make a pot, a hanging pot. And then the last thing we need to do, I have a thicker spool of wire here. I get this from a store called Canadian Tire here in Canada, and it's just a 14 gauge wire. So it's quite tough, not like the other stuff from the dollar store. And I usually have a few of these hooks. I make it a little hook, and so then I can hang it. And I hang it like that. And then I grab my little hooky thing that I have here and I showed earlier in the broadcast, and then I can hang it up above my head with the big guys. And that's where he can live now for the next little while. And my comments have you're welcome, Jacko. Hey Brad, best regards from Croatia. Cool. Hey Brad, nice to see you in your greenhouse. Thanks, Devin. Looking for nun orchids. I do not have any nun orchids. Did I see a comment earlier today from you regarding nun orchids on one of my videos or somewhere? I get comments from so many different areas at once. I can't keep up with them all. Yeah, I don't know where even you're located, so it makes it really tough to give anybody advice on where you get anything. Cody, thanks for watching my videos all the time. And hi Irene. So yeah, I'm sure that has been a 15-minute mark for my video. Can you please show my Nepenthes Leonardii? Yes, I can. Where did I put it? I actually made it a hanging basket thing, just like I just showed you guys. And then I didn't bother hanging it because the pictures were all used to growing on the ground. They were all like resting, so the pictures they started looking funny. So this is my Leonardii. It kind of looks like crap right now. I just repotted it like 2 weeks ago, maybe less. And so it's now in a 6-inch pot instead of a 4-inch pot. And there's 2 plants in there. But all these little pitchers were nicely like hanging because the pot was smaller, right? It was a 4-inch pot. So these guys were all nicely like on the mosses and stuff like that, growing all perfectly. And then I ripped it all apart, and now the pitchers are all starting to turn black. But that's okay because it is going to start living on the roof up there. But yeah, the pitchers, they don't even hang properly. Like they hang sideways because it was used to growing on the moss. What is my overall opinion on Phalaenopsis? Watching it for so long, and I've never seen varying statements on how you feel about them. My Phalaenopsis orchids, I like them. You're welcome. I like them. I have a whole wall of phals. I find them super easy to grow. I find they get big with lots of root. Well, this guy's not hanging. I'm just got to put him back where he was. My overall opinion, though, yeah, I think they're good. My last phal I bought was last year, so I'm still buying. No, I bought some in the summertime. I bought a couple species. So I would love to have a Gigantea, but I can't seem to find a good one. Something with like big leaves, something a little bit harder to find, I guess. But I bought a few species and they've done well. I started with phals and then I got bored of phals, and now I kind of got back into phals again. So I think I got back into them because they're doing better now that they don't take cold temperatures. And before I had the dividing wall, which the camera's in the doorway of the division. Right now I'm on the cold side, and behind you, in front of me, is the warm side. They do great on the warm side, but the warm side has nighttime lows of like 68 Fahrenheit, or that's like 17, 18 degrees Celsius, and they do great in there. But before, when I have them in the greenhouse, because I have more cool growing stuff than warm stuff, I would keep the temperatures, and for cost wise too, I keep the temperatures lower into the 50s, and the phals absolutely hated that. So at one point I brought them in the house, and I don't look after plants very well in the house, to be honest. So they kind of got neglected in there. But now they're all back out here. I brought them back out this summer when I decided, you know what, it's warm enough out here. And they're doing awesome. They're all in spike. I did a repotting video on a phal yesterday. It was live as well. But yeah, so I'm sure, as I said, I sort of allocated 15 minutes to this. I have no idea what time it is or how long it's been, but I'm sure it's been at least 15 minutes. So I hope you guys like this live broadcast. Hi, Brody. And if you want to see more videos like this, see, people are just coming on now. I can kind of see the count of how many people are coming. And it literally takes me like 15 minutes to like get an audience. And so the next time, the first 15 minutes are just going to be like me drinking coffee like this. I guess I can stay. I'll do a few more questions and answers. And let me see here. I got to scroll. This time the video is like, or the setup is so much better because I can actually read and scroll. My species Equestris is doing quite well. Spiked one, purple hybrids, which I believe is Aphrodite. Cool. I don't know if I have an Equestris. It's either on my list or I got it this summer, but I can't remember. What's my favorite collection of plants, Nathan? I think as a whole, I do have to say I've started really liking the Nepenthes. I like them because they're just so maintenance free. You don't have to repot them as long or as often, and unlike orchids where you kind of got to wait sometimes for a year for blooms that last like 2 weeks. With each individual leaf, you get a new pitcher, right? And each pitcher is just that little bit better than the next pitcher. And these plants are very slow growing too, so they don't necessarily outgrow your grow space as fast as some other plants. What else do we have? Do I have Penticulata? No, I don't have any. No, I don't know where any are for sale, unfortunately. Do you have Bical indoors? Yes, my Bical indoors. My Bical, like every Bical gets huge fast, so it's probably the fastest growing plant. It's probably got a 3-foot, 2.5 foot leaf span now on it. You can't even I have to back up to show how big it is. It's probably like this big around. It's my only Nepenthes I have in the house. It was growing in my, I called it as my ultra lowland chamber, which it outgrew. My ultra lowland chamber was in here when I didn't have the dividing wall, so I needed a warm spot for it, but it just grew too much. And then it got so big in there, the leaves were kind of getting cramped against the sides, and it wasn't picturing. So I moved it to the house. It has a heat pad under it. My house is really warm in the summertime, and it's only medium warm in the winter. But the heat pad shows the roots at least are staying about 30 Celsius. So far it's doing good. I mean, we haven't hit winter yet. My house will get a little bit colder, but it's doing good so far. And what are the nighttime lows in my greenhouse? It depends what side of the greenhouse you're on, because I have a dividing wall. So the side I'm standing in gets it down to anywhere as low as 50 Fahrenheit or 10 Celsius. The normal average temperature on this side is, I try to get to like 55, but really it's between 55 and 60. And then on the other side, the nighttime low is about 18 Celsius or 68. And on a cold night, which so far we haven't had any cold nights this year, but on a cold night, the heater struggles to keep up because that's pretty warm. So the heater will sometimes not be able to keep up, and it'll get down to like 66 Fahrenheit or so. Sing a tap dance? No, I don't sing or dance very well. Live broadcasts are hard, Linda. They take a lot more time. It's amazing. Talk about Dracula orchids. Mine isn't growing. I don't know what to say about Dracula orchids. They like it cool. They like it somewhat bright, and they like it moist. I don't find them to be hard at all. I find even when I neglect them, they end up looking like this, and I can't keep up with them. You can see all these are all old spikes on it. I can't even trim off the spikes. It blooms so fast. The back side, I've taken a few pieces off of it to give it some more room. This one here needs a desperate repotting. Dracula orchids seem to be just super easy to grow as long as you're growing them in cool conditions. They need it cool and they need it humid. So, do I have a Equestrian variation mauve? Well, let me see. I'm going to go off camera. I don't even know what I have. I'm still looking off camera here, guys. I thought I had an Equestrian. Where is it? Found it. It's buried. No, I have the variation Aria. It was blooming. I just got it this year. There it is there. Do I have any Cattleyas for sale? No. Even if I did, it's sales for plants are Canada only. Cattleyas are too big and take up too much space to have any for sale. I only sell little plants. Yes, that's right, Matthew. So it's a white one. Temperature wise for what? I might have missed a comment here though. Mine has been like 4 leaves on what plant? Oh, Dracula. Temperature wise, it's in the plants are in the highland side of the greenhouse, so it gets down to low as 50 Fahrenheit, 10 Celsius. On average, it stays a little bit above that. In the summertime, there's an air conditioner that goes even at night sometimes. So on a hot summer night when it's 25 Celsius outside, it can still be 15 degrees in here. So anyways, yeah, what else do we have? Okay. Mine has just plain old white flowers. I'm not overly happy with it, but I think this is its first new leaf since I've got it. My Schilleriana is doing good. It's up there as well, but it's buried and it's hard to get to. All of your phals have been in spike this year. Some are still in bloom after. That's a good thing about some phals, especially the hybrids. They stay in spike for a long time. But yeah, so I think we do have to end it here. So I hope you like this live broadcast. And I can't take any more questions because my 15 minutes is long gone. I'm sure we're pushing half an hour now anyways. So anyways, I hope you like this broadcast. If you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because you'll see them there. But I guess if you want live ones, you kind of got to be on the Facebook side of everything. So make sure you do both. How's that? And yeah, we will see you next time. Bye, guys.